the Bears on Black Friday was the lone Black Friday game. They go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles, and they win 24-15, largely on the back of their running game. They had over 200 rushing yards. Mononga and DeAndre Swift have become a formidable tandem there, and it really was largely the rushing attack. The Bears have been pretty forthright that they feel like the passing attack, they're winning in spite of the passing game, not because of it, and that really should not be the case in a Ben Johnson offense. It's frustrating to them, but hey, you keep winning games, and so you can't be too mad at that. And then on the flip side, you get A.J. Brown going yet again if you're the Eagles, but it just kind of feels like a hollow victory because, one, you lost the game, and also, who really cares if you get A.J. Brown going if you can't run complementary offense at all? You don't hit 100 rushing yards again. Saquon just still really can't get going very well, and you turn the ball over twice, and so you lose to the Eagles. And, JP, my first question to you is, are there more questions?
Yeah, there's absolutely
Okay,
more
cool.
questions. That Philly coming into the game led the league in 3-and-out percentage in the league. They had 3 in this game. I went back and I watched the entirety of the game, and just takeaways from that in general. Hurts was inaccurate, very inaccurate, much
Yeah.
of the game. 19 for 34, very inefficient, and his pick was bad. I'll say any pick is really bad, but it wasn't one where it was like, oh, it would hit the receiver in the hands. He overthrew his receiver, and credit to, if I'm not mistaken, Jaquan Brisker making an incredible play on the sideline. I can double check that. I don't have to ask. Kevin Byard, actually, the other
Sure.
safety. So he was bad. Saquon, they still refuse to block for him. It sucks to see that. But A.J. Brown, of course, had his good day. I think the only thing that's really positive for Philly that you can take from this continued losing is that at least A.J. Brown's quiet right now.
I think they'd rather him be back to barking and being upset if it meant they were also back to winning games.
Fair, but if he was barking on top of all this, it would be even worse.
True.
It also is. It's so. Going back and watching the broadcast, and I watched the condensed replay from NFL.com. So it's you see the entirety of the play, you hear a second of after the play, they skip right next to the next play, and you see every single play of the game. And so watching that, you don't see like the lead up to the snap. You see the snap, play, 1 second after, next play. You watch that game, it is boo, boo, because every single play was negative, 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 or something didn't occur, and it was just boos raining down on Black Friday in Philly, and that was unbelievable to see. That is Philly sports for you.
That's music to my ears right there.
In it, yes, I agree. For you as a Commanders fan, and me as a Dak guy, no shame to it. Abby's not here in the chat, so she can't even say anything about her Eagles here, but they deserve to be booed, especially offensively. They have been terrible for much of this year. They're very fraudulent in that way. They narrowly escaped the scoreless half again, which they, coming into the week, had been tied with the Tennessee Titans for the most amount of scoreless halves this year, which is not a team you want to be tied with for anything in this sport. And yes, there are more questions. Are they ever going to figure this out offensively? I believe 5 weeks running, had picked them to still reach the Super Bowl, and I didn't do that today because I can't now trust that this is going to just flip the switch in the postseason.
Sure.
After seeing this many consistent weeks of failed offensive production. Saquon, I don't think is ever going to get blocked for, sadly. I would love for him to, so I can make a postseason run in my fantasy league, but tons of more questions. And then on the other side, defensively, to get pounded by Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift in this makeshift offensive line that was just put together this year. This is a Chicago offensive line that was terrible last year. Caleb Williams led the league in sacks, or he was second to Jaden Daniels, one of the two. This year, they are running the football really, really well, and it is the engine for their offense is Monangai and DeAndre Swift. And so for Philly to get punked like that, I thought that was the most surprising thing. 22 carries for Monangai and 18 for Swift. They average 6 yards per carry and 7 yards per carry, respectively. that's insane, and it showed on that way watching the replay. They just consistently pick up 7 or 6 yards, and that's unstoppable because it puts Caleb Williams in very favorable positions and favorable third downs. And to Chicago's credit, I think this is the padlock stat. If you were told one of these teams is going to go 10 for 17 on third down in a game, yeah, I think that team wins. And
Sure.
Chicago did. They were 10 for 17 on third down. And it's because they were able to get in very, very favorable third downs in this game. At one point, they converted out of their 7 attempts on third down, 6. So they kind of turned it off as we got into the second half, but they were incredible. So a ton of questions for Philly. For Chicago, I really love this team, and there's no reason to feel like they are a truly fraudulent 1 seed, because I think they can potentially make some moves in the postseason,
Sure.
given how this NFC is. They're on pace for 2 1,000-yard rushers. Right now, DeAndre Swift is on pace for 1,100, and Kyle Monangai is on pace for 840, so only 160 yards short of 2 1,000-yard rushers. Very possible for either of them. Caleb can still be Caleb, too, and he had 3 of those plays in this game for me. A key 3rd and 4 in the second quarter. He steps up in the pocket, immediately knows he's going to be sacked. He retreats in the pocket, slides out, runs, and I believe he's being chased by Jihad Campbell, a very, very fast Eagles linebacker. Runs, picks up the first down, extends the drive, gets him into better field goal range. They were already in field goal range, but on a windy day like it was in Philly on Friday, getting him in better field goal range, they end up getting 3 points for sure out of that drive. And then there's 2 others in the third and then in the fourth quarter. 4th and 5 to Colston Loveland. He makes an incredible play where he's getting pressured and somehow gets the football to him on a 4th and 5 in the late third quarter. And then the touchdown to Cole Kmet to seal it, rolling out to his left, turns his body on a money. He was originally looking to the guy in the flat. He sees Kmet open over the top, releases it. It ends up being a touchdown. While he continues to put up really ugly stat lines, like he 17 for 36, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. You wouldn't think that's very good, and that's not his first time this year where he's had basically 50% completion percentage. The Minnesota game, 16 for 32 for 193, no touchdowns, no picks. It's another not shocking game that pops off the page, but he made some big plays in that game as well. And so if they're able to run the football, which is true for any team, Caleb can make a few plays in a postseason game, and I'm really excited to see it because it's something Chicago has never had. Again, like I said, they've never had a 4,000-yard passer.
Sure.
Caleb is going to be just under pace for that. I don't think he's going to hit that.
I don't think he is either.
But Caleb is going to make plays that Jay Cutler has never made for them. Mitchell Trubisky has never made for them. And that could potentially make Chicago a very dangerous team once we get to the postseason.
Yeah. My question, I guess, to both of y'all is, and you basically just answered it, so I guess this goes more to Sanders. The passing attack, I know Caleb can make big plays, right? He has that ability, and that's fantastic, and it's better than not having that. But the passing attack has not been good, holistically. Assuming that continues, because at this point we just wrapped up Week 12, Week 13. That's a large sample size. Do we really think they can make noise in the postseason against beat a Rams or someone like that in the postseason, or find their way to the Super Bowl somehow? If they just still have a game where Caleb Williams, I mean, he has 58% completion percentage on the season, and they have offensive playmakers theoretically. You have Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you spent a first-round pick on Colston Loveland.
Both the tight
and Cole
ends.
Kmet's a very good tight end as well. It's weird because it really seems like there should be no reason for this to be the case, but here we are.
Yeah. I would say that they can go out and beat any team any week. I mean, they just beat the Eagles, who last week I think JP still had winning the Super Bowl.
Aye.
So that was just 7 days ago. They go out and beat them in Philly. But I wouldn't trust this team to put together right now 3 consecutive weeks of good play against the best teams, the best opponents that they'll be facing. So I would say right now, no. I think that could change if I saw a little bit more consistency in the way they were utilizing their weapons. The Roma Dunze issues with his dad getting mad about his usage on Twitter. He gets, 2 receptions,
8 yards.
8 yards. He did have 6 targets, was tied for the team lead in targets. But it just feels like they've got this treasure trove of weapons, and they're not really utilizing them. Instead, they're using, this is not disrespectful, intended to be disrespectful to DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, but DeAndre Swift, kind of a journeyman running back, and then a 7th-round draft pick in Kyle Monangai. You're using these 2 guys, and it's working. But you've got a 1st-round pick in Luther Burden, you've got a 1st-round pick in Roma Dunze, and then you've got a guy that you traded a 1st-rounder for in DJ Moore. You've got a 1st-rounder in Colston Loveland. Why? And you've got this hodgepodge offensive line in the running game, and that's what you're leaning on and relying on. It's a little concerning that they're not relying more on this 1st-round quarterback, 3 1st-round wide receivers, and a 1st-round tight end.
I think it's got a chance to actually help them. The fact that they're not using the weapons, because the weapons are still there.
Yeah.
So what if we can do a playoff game and then suddenly they use the weapons?
It's a huge what if, though.
Yeah.
It's a huge what if. I understand the concern, maybe leaning in on what I don't disagree with are probably the lowest on the totem pole in terms of playmakers on that offense in DeAndre Swift and Monangai, but it's working. To have on pace for 2 1,000-yard rushers, there's no reason to not run the football.
Sure.
To continue to run the football, and I'm gonna take back my take that I had a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure this is what I said, that I would be concerned with Chicago playing in cold environments in the postseason. But if it's in their own building and they get to bring Sam Darnold into town, Baker Mayfield into town, Matthew Stafford into town, of course, Jared Goff and the Lions into town. They get to bring, or dear God, please don't have this happen, but Bryce Young into town, then I feel like they are at a tremendous advantage, because I think they're, at least at home, if they're able to run the football as well as they are, I don't think that will actually matter as much.
I think that's very fair.
Now, if they had to go on the road, I have a different story. If they had to go to Lambeau, I don't trust them as much. Also, one of their sleeping giants for them is defensively, they've been playing really, really well. They lead the league in turnovers. They average 2.5 takeaways per game. Next closest is 1.9. So they've been absolutely incredible defensively on top of their offense. So I think it may help them being in the cold environment, especially if it's at home. So I think they should try to, of course, any team should really try to play for the 1 seed. But I think they should really try to play for the 1 seed. And I think for the big what if, I think they will answer that big what if. And I think they will actually get it to their weapons once you get to the postseason.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I think whoever they play in the postseason, if it's the Rams or Seattle, or if it's like the 49ers, Packers as well, they're going to really try to stop that run and force Caleb to beat them. And so I have more faith in Caleb in having weapons versus not having weapons, if that makes sense.
You would definitely rather than be there, that's for sure. Crazy the Bears wouldn't be here if Jaden Daniels didn't botch a handoff.
The Commanders should be in the same spot right now, apparently.
Correct. Yeah.
My last thing, and then we can move on. For the Eagles, it is I don't know how many people actually watched this game. Of course, none of us did live because we were watching the Egg Bowl and we were watching Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I would imagine it still got more viewers than all of those games for much of the NFL public. But if you didn't watch this game, if you've just looked at numbers this year for the Philly, they're 8-4. You would think, okay, they're not that bad of a team. Jalen Hurts, by the numbers, has actually been just fine. 236 total yards per game. He has 27 total touchdowns, 2 picks. He has 104 passer rating, and like I said, they're 8-4. Doesn't feel like that's not that bad of a team, not that bad of a season, but they are a classic eye test required team. You need to see this team actually play to actually understand what's going on. Because, Jalen Hurts is averaging 236 total yards per game this year. He has 6 Bryce Young games this year, under 200 passing yards. 6 out of their 12 games they played.
So they're known as Bryce Youngs now?
Yes.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, Bryce Young's had 8 for the record.
Sure.
So he hasn't surpassed him. So we can't call it a Jalen Hurts game yet. But again, 2 Alabama quarterbacks. Sorry, Sanders. 27 total touchdowns, 2 picks. But he's had 5 tush-push touchdowns. So it's only 22-2, sadly. Give the ball to freaking Saquon, bro. That's 30 fantasy points. And then the 8-4 record, Jalen Hurts has won 2 games this year, scoring 16 and 10 points. So if the other offense had actually done something that day, which credit to their defense, they'd be 6-6.
Yeah.
They'd be a 6-6 Philly team. And so
Dallas could easily make the playoffs just by winning
Dallas,
the division.
absolutely. I still think that's on the board. And it sucks that Dallas doesn't get to play Philly again. And
The
that's-
Commanders got Dallas. Don't worry. We'll get them in a couple weeks.
I would love to see that. We need that. But this is like I said, a eye test required team, and they are really kind of falling off a cliff. And it's shocking because it seems to be the trend. You go back 3 seasons ago, they go all the way to the Super Bowl. They are really dominant all year. They lose 38-35 to Kansas City and the Chiefs. 2 years ago, they are 10-1 or 11-1 at one point in the season. They finish 11-6. They go to Tampa Bay, have one of the most disappointing playoff performances of all time. Don't even show up to play, it feels like. Lose. Last year, they're dominant all year. They have historically great rushing offense. And they go all the way to the Super Bowl, dominate the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl. And now it feels like this year where they started, if I'm not mistaken, 8-2. They are going to, again, it looks like maybe, fall off the cliff and have a very similar potential postseason performance if they even get there. Yeah, they started 8-2. So is that just the trend for the Eagles?
I hope so.
Should you bet Super Bowl 62 or what? No, Super Bowl 61, if I'm not mistaken. Bet Eagles to win that Super Bowl. I think that's the trend here. It's not out of the ordinary for them. They did the same thing 2 years ago.
Yeah.